So 6 soldiers from Niger have been unalived while patrolling in a very sensitive area of the country. Niger's got a pipeline running from the basin of Niger all the way south to Benin in the port of Seme. I'm going to show you a map. This is Niger. Here is the pipeline from Niger to Benin. This pipeline purpose is to export petrol or oil. Niger discovered oil in the country and have signed a big contract with the Chinese for exportation. That's massive for them. Why? Because Niger, back in time, they thought only had uranium. Uranium is what you need for electricity purpose. You can create electricity with uranium. And France was the biggest buyer of Nigerian uranium. France bought so much uranium from Niger, they made electricity for them. France had so much electricity left that they sold to other European countries. Let's get back to context. So, Niger discovered oil in the land. But Niger, as you can see, is a country inland. So in the continent, they are not bordered by any sea. They have no beaches. So in order for them to export their goods, they have to go through a country that is the sea. Now, the problem here is Niger and Benin don't get along. They haven't been very friendly for the past couple of months. Why? Because Benin is very good friends to France. And Nigerians are accusing Beninians of keeping French military in their country. With what purpose? With the purpose of attacking Niger. Now, why would that be? Niger was colonized by France. France have been in Niger for the longest time. France troops have been stationed in Niger for the longest time. But very recently, in Niger, they toppled the president, whose name was Mohamed Bazoum.
Ce jour, 26 juillet 2023, nous, forces de défense et de sécurité, réunis au sein du Conseil national pour la sauvegarde de la patrie, CNSP, avons décidé de mettre fin au régime que vous connaissez. Cela fait suite à la dégradation continue de la situation sécuritaire, la mauvaise gouvernance économique et sociale. Les frontières terrestres et aériennes sont fermées jusqu'à la stabilisation de la situation.
After Bazoum left, the new people in power were not very good friends with France. They asked French people to leave the country because they wanted to be really independent. They felt like French presence was not allowing Niger to truly be independent. Now, France was not very happy with that because France has been in this country for many, many years. And all of a sudden, these other guys just come along, they take power and they won't change things. That's very unstable for their policies and their businesses. Now, France has moved from Niger, according to Nigerians.
Au nom de tout le peuple nigérien, on est très fiers du départ de l'armée française et son ambassadeur.
Les Nigériens dans leur ensemble ont jugé.
If the people of Niger as a whole have decided that a particular force should leave, then that force must leave.
Cette force se doit.
And that is the will of the people. And the will of the people must always be respected.
Doit toujours être respecté.
On n'a pas besoin d'eux. On n'en a pas besoin d'eux.
Have now imported French soldiers in Benin, and Nigerians believe that the French soldiers in Benin's purpose is to destabilize their country. Now let's get back to the 6 Nigerian soldiers that were unalived next to the pipeline. Why were they there patrolling? They were patrolling because apparently there are many terrorists that run through that space, and the goal is to protect the pipeline so they can produce and make money for the country. Now, where did the terrorists come from, you ask? Terrorists came along after Muammar Gaddafi of Libya was unalived. Before that, there was no terrorist. But Americans and French people decided they wanted to take this man out because this man, Muammar Gaddafi, was pushing Africans into a mentality Europeans and Americans didn't like very much. So he had to be stopped. Now, for them to stop this man, they had to use some people that belong somewhere there. Some people that later on will become terrorists. That's where the terrorism came from. So our issue today is we're trying to understand who unalived the 6 Nigerian soldiers that were patrolling. In order to understand that, as per the Nigerian people, they feel like the president of Benin is very friendly with the French and he could be involved with some things that are happening right now. We also know that a few days ago, 5 people from Niger were arrested in Benin, and Benin accused them of being agents or spies. Benin claims the detainees are agents of the Niger army junta, and they were using fake documents to access the facility. We're talking about the petroleum facility. But Nigerian and Beninese had agreed that the petroleum can go through their country. Now, why are they now arresting Nigerian citizens?
À l'étape actuelle, l'enquête a formellement établi qu'au moins 2 parmi ces personnes sont des agents nigériens au service du Conseil national pour la sauvegarde de la patrie CNSP. Ces personnes se sont fait confectionner pour la circonstance de faux badges d'employés de WAPCO Niger. Les investigations se poursuivent pour déterminer les motivations réelles des mises en cause, dans un contexte où des informations récurrentes font état de la planification d'actes d'atteinte à la sécurité de l'État du Bénin.
Now, if you go back in time, you remember that when Nigerians took over power, when the junta took over power in Niger, they were expelled from this group called the ECOWAS. ECOWAS is an organization by West African countries that help each other financially, economically, and politically. When the ex-president of Niger, Mohamed Bazoum, was toppled, ECOWAS sanctioned Niger. They closed the border to Niger. Their goal was to get people of Niger to be angry at the new government so that the government can be toppled again and reinstate the previous president, Mohamed Bazoum. So let's get back on track. Niger has closed its border to Benin because they don't trust the Beninese. They feel like Beninese have kept French soldiers in their lands with the goal of destabilizing their country. But now, a few days later, 6 Nigerians have been unalived in that very same pipeline. Who do you think is responsible to this? Here's the question. Who do you think is responsible for this? So, my take to this is very simple. You have an African country named Niger who has toppled the president because they feel like the president was not working for the interests of the locals. Why are other African nations angry at them? Why are other African nations not happy to see an African nation try to take things within their own hand? Why? Now, the second question is, why are the Nigerians so afraid or cautious of the French and the Beninese? Because France has a very good cooperation with its ex-colonies, and many of these countries were France colonies, and in most of these countries are stationed French soldiers. Now, why is that a danger for Niger? Because in the past, I think it's very important to see the past. The past tells us a lot of story about somebody's behavior. Okay, in the past, this president, his name is Gbagbo from Ivory Coast. 10 years ago, he said he had won the elections and he wanted the votes to be recounted.
Article 3. Mr. Laurent Gbagbo is declared president of the Republic of Ivory Coast.
But because French did not like him very much, they bombed his house. I'm not inventing this. This is history. They bombed his house and accusing him of many things. He was even accused at the ICC and was arrested for many years until he was found not guilty of doing anything of the lies they said about him. So Nigerians are afraid that France could be doing to them the same thing they had done to Gbagbo, which is attacking their country illegally. That's the reason why. Now my question to you people is this: are they right to be cautious in refusing to open the border to Benin, even though the Beninese are suffering now? Let me remind you that people from Benin cross to Niger to go sell food, staples, simple bananas, avocado, and that's how they made money. But unfortunately now, since Niger has closed its border because they do not trust the Beninese government, it's the human beings that are suffering from that. Let me know how you feel about this. Why Africans cannot work together and help each other? Why is there no trust among Africans? Because of the past. And very often things that have happened in the past, betrayal, disloyalty, many times will happen in the future if you do not pay attention. God bless.